cyberspace, set free. Hello, virtual reality.
Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online.
Take a spin, now you're in with the techno set. You're going surfing on the internet.
I think we ought to change this set, don't you? Okay. Now that we got everything situated, I want to explain what I just did there a little bit. I have this pretty nice laptop here that I was able to buy for not an inexpensive amount. However, the thing is that, you can look at this and I could go on about how the specs of it, it's good. It's what I need and it serves the purpose of what I want. But the problem that I had was I can't exactly wear this on my head, which was a dilemma because I wanted all the niceties of a nice computing device that's able to surf the web and be able to run all my programs, whilst also being able to have it on the go in a completely hands-free manner. Which is why I was tempted into finding some sort of way to do this. And what I had to discover on the internet was people would take these old computer monitors and also televisions, and they would rip all the internals on it because it would be using VGA or some crummy old stuff like that. They would use these old, I believe, cathode monitors, so they're these big Horkin things that require these big old deep-sized monitors. You've probably seen them also inside of TVs. And as you're probably aware with the invention of both LCD and LED, you no longer need to have all those things there. So what I wanted to do was find the nice head-shaped sized monitor and slap all the innards of a nice little computer in there, and then be able to take that thing out for a spin. Which is exactly why I created this absolute monstrosity. See, even though on the very back it says that this actual unit was made in 2004, I had a very 90s vibe from it, primarily from the fact that it says compact on here, but also from that really deep design of it. So I put a little bit of a 90s flair on it. I actually have some of these cups here. So I mean, they're basically the same exact thing. But the thing is, I've currently been having some problems with this sort of thing. I'm able to wear this device on top of my head while also looking very stylish at the same time. This is a fully functioning computer, and all I need to utilize is this wireless mouse and this wireless keyboard. And when I'm on the go, I just shove both of these bad boys right inside of a backpack, and whenever I need it, I just whip that bad boy right on out. But I don't have to worry about this thing's portability because I'm wearing this bad sucker right on top of my head. Hell, I could be walking, and as long as someone has to do their project or write some sort of paper, I can have this thing just pouncing right on top of my head, and they're able to do it at the same time. Walking on the subway, hell, I can even give this to someone to go and Skype their mother, except for there isn't a camera, except for that there is, and we'll be getting into that. So let me show you a bit of the innards and what's going on here. So with the removal of 4 screws, utilizing your standard Phillips head screwdriver, which you could probably just carry around quite easily, frankly, inside of your pocket, you're able to remove the entirety of this back portion from the front, which hopefully this one will do very nicely and politely. And it did. So let me show you a little bit of what I got going on in here, especially now that everything that I had holding it together has completely fallen apart. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be looking at this and being like, Mamma Mia, that's a lot of wires. But let me show you, it ain't nothing but a thing at all. So what I got going on here in this absolutely radical setup is I have this whole mount that I literally just epoxied all together out of an old hat that I had gotten. On top of that, I also have a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus in the back here, which is basically the equivalent of a 2002 notebook laptop. However, for what I want, yeah, that's right. And then for this, all the power comes exactly from this one power bank that I have here. Except for right now, It's just a standard USB output, and the actual monitor, which I'll get to it, is actually powered by a 12 volt DC output. So the thing that's happening here is that the USB's output is 5 volts, but I have a step-up converter that goes from a 5 volt to a 12 volt. It goes from USB to the DC. But the problem that I have is I don't know if it's still pumping out enough power. So if I really wanted to change it, which I might have to, because when I had this all working, it was a little bit slow of the reaction. I couldn't tell quite if that was because of the Raspberry Pi, or if it was because of the monitor, or what was going on, or if it wasn't getting enough power whatsoever. But yeah, they have these little battery packs that you buy for a couple of dollars. You stick 4 AA batteries right inside of it, and it just is straight up a DC thing. So you don't have to worry about any step ups, step downs, or anything like that. HDMI just for the monitor right there, and I'll get into how I was able to get this whole monitor in there to be an HDMI. And then basically everything should sit right in the back, right beside or behind my head in terms of actual components. So that's what's going on in the back here. And frankly, I find more interesting is what's going on in the front here. So what I'm having right now is a little bit of a dilemma of a multitude of things. I have this dash cam that I had gotten for a couple of bucks that I had glued to the front of it that works and it will turn on. It's a Chinese model, and one of the things you'll learn once you're getting accumulated to Chinese products is that anytime it's electronic, they really like noises. I don't know why, and every time I see them, they never have a function to turn them off, but yeah, as you can hopefully see, it's completely fine, functional. It's actually pretty wide, and there's my hand there, and it gets a little bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, you are actually able to tell depth perception, be able to grab things and interact with things pretty comfortably. This is a 2-part system right here, and I'll tell you about how I'm able to do this. What you do is you purchase any replacement for any kind of laptop screen that you want to get, and you just get the size that you got. I got a 14.1 inch display, but the kicker is that you have to find the exact number, the serial number of the thing. Like right here it says LTN141A203, T03, and you go and take that, and then you go and you put a search into eBay or Amazon. Hell, I was able to find it on Amazon, AliExpress, maybe any other sort of website, and you're able to, and you go and put controller board on it. And what should pop up is something pretty similar to this, where it's going to be this, and this is where it's going to have an actual connector for the display, a board that has a whole bunch of inputs and outputs. Like I've seen some that actually have VGA outputs, but this one has an HDMI with a DC input, and then this is supposed to be where it gives all the power to the LCD display, and then this one's also supposed to be a board to be working with the monitor on it, which is of course conveniently entirely in Chinese, but thanks to modern technology such as Google Translate, I'm able to go and find out exactly what it's trying to say, and it worked. But the problem is it isn't working now. And what I frankly think the power problem is that I think I shorted the board out, because this has a static warning on it. And if you have any electronics that is capable of being shorted out by static electricity, if I remember the correct number about it, boards that aren't protected from it can get fucked by 10 to 15 volts, which you're probably thinking to yourself, or I think it's watts, something like that, but you're probably thinking to yourself, well, hey, that's not too bad. Well, whenever you get static electricity and you get it high enough that it shocks you and you feel it, by that point it's around the realm of 125,000 volts. There's a really big difference between the two, and it does not take a lot for this board to get fucked, considering the fact that it had that warning on it. So considering that it isn't working, and I also smelled burning a little bit when the display crapped out, I don't think the problem is the display. I think the problem was with one of the boards, and it shorted out. Now the thing is, tomorrow I'm getting a multimeter, and I'm actually going to be testing everything to see, is the problem with the display, is the problem with the board, is it both, what can I do to solve it? And I think, quite frankly, what my problem was is I just straight up have adhesive Velcro on the back of the board. This one actually has a protective coating, and this one actually was fine. This one, I don't know, because when I turned it on, it wasn't responding at all, and this one has an actual LED, and LEDs within the buttons to actually tell you if it's working and if it's responding or not. And this one has nothing to indicate whether it is or isn't working. However, the power goes into here, so if anything else is to get power, this is to get power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the multimeter to see if this is working, if this is working, and then I'm going to see if the actual display, both right here with the actual display connector and then the power for the LCD, are both working. Because quite frankly, I don't think the display is messed up at all. What I think it is the controller board. And next time, if it is the controller board, I'll just simply replace it. And they came in these static-free bags, and I think, quite frankly, I'm just going to keep them in there, and I'm just going to make little holes to put all the inputs and outputs and stuff like that, and that's about it. So basically, I'm hoping that if you're interested in doing something like this, there's probably much better tutorials, but I do know a lot of the people that follow my channel are people who personally know me. So I just wanted to do this to give a little bit of insight and a little bit of, what's up with me, what I've been doing so far, because it's one of my many projects that I do. But on top of that, I also kind of wanted to hope, maybe this will inspire people, because if you do personally know me, you know that I sometimes do really fucking dumb shit, and I was able to get this thing working for a bit. I'll actually throw up a picture of when it was working. But the thing is that this device currently isn't working, and I think I know exactly how to fix it. So if I were to tell you, if you were to do anything like it, hopefully you're able to get it just from observing it, but I will also throw a little bit of, see the other videos about when I loosely was filming while I was in the middle of making this thing, and you can see what I was doing, and I think there's quite a bit that I did right and ended up working, but there's a couple of things that you could probably change. Battery for the DC probably would have been better. Utilizing actual static-free stuff for this board probably also would have been better, and hell, you don't even have to use this display whatsoever. There's plenty, like this board is able to do dozens of other displays, and there's tons of boards like these that you're able to find, and I got it off of Amazon Prime because I fucking hate Jeff Bezos, but that 2-day delivery, it's a little tempting. I would use static-free stuff. I would have just kept it in the bag as a difference. So hopefully, if you're going to be doing something like this, you don't make the same mistakes as me. Hopefully you have a couple bucks lying around. This entire project as a whole, there's a lot of different areas where I was going to take it, like just utilizing a laptop and just moving around the internals for it, which you definitely can do. The thing is I was really fucking dumb, and I kept on fucking stuff up. So now I'm at the point where I'm using a Raspberry Pi in this display. And if you're doing this whole setup, similar to what I got going on here, assuming you had to purchase everything that I had to buy, like all the connections and the HDMI stuff and all that, because I didn't have it, it's probably going to cost around $100 to do all this. 120, 140, give or take, on how you're spending your money and allocating things and what you do and don't have. But I definitely can see someone being able to do all of this for probably $20, maybe even free if you're still more knowledgeable and you don't want to do the extra things that I did, such as I purchased a piece of acrylic so I can put it on front of the display so I had something to mount this to, and just so then there was a gap and something to paint over, which you can tell that I very poorly did with a marker, which I might go back later and use acrylic paint, but maybe not, because maybe I don't want to do it the display. But There's definitely different ways you can mount things. Just little things that you could do different, or how even major things that you could do different from what I did. But how I did all this, and hopefully it'll be working, give or take, you know, a week from now, and somewhere between the realm of $50 to $20 deeper into the hole. But it's not that hard, and I think it's pretty neat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing what's going on here. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing everything that's going on around here. And I hope you all are having a beautiful day and are going to have a great rest of your week. God bless. Take care.
Well, how did our kids do as cyber teachers?
Oh, they were big stars, of course. Oh, but honey, did you know you could dissect a virtual frog on the internet? Ooh. Oh, did you get those Rolling Stone concert tickets? And the whole family can go, right? I mean, you can buy tickets online.
I don't know. What do you think, kids?
Yeah. Surf's up. See you on the net.